we have a Texas TI 99 4A, or what's left of one. They seem to be immensely fragile, these machines, and they fail faster than most computers. Not sure why, because they use components which were more off the shelf than many actually, but they seem to die on a regular basis. I mean, looking at the board, there isn't really any reason for them to fail. You got the big CPU down there. You've also got the memory chips, which are just here. You can see the bank of them in the middle there, and it just seems that they want to give up the ghost. A lot of it's due to age, a lot of it's due to component failure, capacitors which expand and wear out, but can't be wear and tear, because I know for a fact that this machine didn't actually get used a lot when it was in one piece. So we're just going to have a little bit of a test of this machine for a future episode, and we're going to try and get it working and then see what we come up with. We also have a DK-Tronics based machine that failed shortly after another episode was made, and a second Texas Instruments machine with a very similar fault. As I said, these machines fail basically at will. They're not very robust. Underneath we have a very sorry looking Atari ST with a very yellowed case, and the keyboard does need attention. And it's also time for another build. This is basically the build shelf, so all of these will be featured on rebuilds. Another is a Dragon 32, which we featured previously, but as you can see, the plastics are not great, the keyboard needs a bit of attention, and there's also a bit of a question mark over the board and its build date. But again, this is another one that comes up, and it's going to be a build, or a restore, a restoration. Then we have the not so ubiquitous Commodore Plus 4. This one's not in bad condition overall. It's a bit dirty, but it needs some restoration. It also needs the keyboard sorting out, because the plastics are starting to get brittle and they're snapping off, as you can see by the number 4 key. For no reason, you just type on it and the plastics snap off as well. So again, they're getting on a little bit, so we need to try and keep them restored for future. And then we have the trusty old Commodore Amiga. This one actually works really well. Biggest problem is the case has gone really brittle and very yellowed, and it does need quite a bit of restoration. Again, I don't really want to retro bright. I want to try and find something else that will do the job better and last longer, and not have such an adverse effect on the plastics, because retro brighting seems to make the cases a lot more brittle. And then we have a Commodore VIC-20, which is in very good condition. Gets used a lot, hasn't really caused any issues, but it's starting to get the mysterious not powering on every now and again. It just comes up with a blank screen, so this needs investigating as well. And also, every now and again a few of the keys don't work, but if you leave it for a while, it's got something to do with oxidization somewhere on the traces of the tracks, because if you leave it for a little while and the board starts heating a little bit, they suddenly come to life, but that needs tracing down. And then there's a couple of other machines which just need inspecting. There's the MSX, Toshiba MSX, and yet another faulty ZX Spectrum. This one actually works, but it's starting to fail on the keyboard again. So again, it's it should be a quick fix with a new membrane, but we'll see what else it needs when we start taking it apart. So there you have it, one or two little projects to get on with, in a little mini restoration series, and something that really will come in useful for everybody else who buys one of these machines, because eventually they are going to need repairing, so it'd be nice to try and put a handle on all the faults and how to rectify them. As you can see, I've got quite a few machines, quite a few projects going on, but people do ask, what is the best machine to start off with if you're getting into classic computers and you want to start, reliving some of the 1980s and the 8-bit machines? Well, it's none of these. It's not your Ataris, it's not your Spectrums, it's not your Texas Instruments, it's not even a VIC-20, and it's definitely not your Amiga. All of these machines are fine machines when they're running, especially the Atari STs and the Commodore Amigas. But the one machine that doesn't cause as much problems and seems to be well built, reliable, easy to get software for, easy to get upgrades for, is your Commodore 64. And not any old 64, it's the Commodore 64C. So your Commodore 64C, like this one here, is just immensely reliable. It's got a good quality feel to it, even though this one was more of a budget machine, as in it was built on a budget. The keyboard's nice, it feels good. The case isn't brittle. The cases tend to generally be in good condition. And the machines themselves are good. The games are decent. You can get quite a lot of cartridges as well as disc and tape games, and if you want to go down that route you can get a tape adapter or a cassette emulator, which is much more reliable. But even if you use the standard tape drive or the data set, it's a digital, it's very reliable. There's no messing with volume controls and tone controls, etc., and it works. So if you want to get into classic computers, you would be a lot worse off if you don't start with something that's going to be reasonably good and reasonably reliable to start off with, and that is going to be the Commodore 64C. Thank you for watching. If you like what you've listened to and seen, please subscribe. If not, have a nice day. Thank you for listening.